Do I need to remind you what is out there?
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing.
What are you so afraid of?
Fuse, Mr. Producer.
You're not gonna scare us.
Scared him?
We are survivors.
This is our chance!
It is over, Tess!
One, two, one, two, one, two. One, two. One, two. You did? You just heard me. Can you hear me? Oh my god, wait, what did I do? Can you hear me? 1, 2. You can hear me. Thank you. Oh my God. You can hear me. People can hear me. I did not push anything. Yo, bro. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Michael. Thank you. So you can hear me now. Oh my God. Can you hear me fine? Michael, come on. Bro. Are you lip reading? Thank you. Yes. We are good to go. Yeah. All works now. That wasn't me though. I didn't change anything. I was just playing around with stuff. So don't blame me. I'm not the one to blame. Nope. Are you like Grump? Are you playing with me? Do you really hear me? I need to. Now we need to get Michael back on. See if we can hear him. I don't believe anything anymore. But if you can, thank you. Thank you for putting up with that. I knew this was gonna happen. But where is Michael now? Let's get him back on. I don't know why it didn't work. I didn't change anything. Are you coming back on, dude? Now we can't get Michael back on. Great. This is The Last of Us. This is the last of our brain. This is like not The Last of Us preview stream. It's like The Last of Us trying to figure out how to get shit to work. Michael, where are you? Come on, dude. How have you guys been anyway? How's your Sunday been? It's good that I'm being heard. I feel very good. Not the fact that I'm being heard and we're supposed to talk about a TV show. And I knew this was going to go weird, but whatever, you know. That's good. Thank you for tuning in from France. I know it's late for you. It's really kind of you. I love you. Ludmila, my good friend who I've known for, 12 years? 11 years? Michael, come on. I'm waiting on you. Or now Michael can't log on or something. Great. We had this whole same problem with Mike on I'm surrounded by Michaels. There's too many Michaels in this world, but with OBG, not OBS, OBG. Are you coming on, Michael? At least I sorted myself out. Now, what are you doing? Where are you now? And this is like the lost of us. The lost audio of us. Oh my, this is, you guys. Yes, 13 soon. Well, I will start without. Okay, I'm just gonna call him real quick and see what he has to say. Maybe he's indisposed or something. Maybe he decided he didn't want to review The Last of Us. What are you trying to get on or something? Or are you done? Is it not working for you now? Can you hear? Oh, now the phone is not working.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you trying
Yeah,
to?
my screen's on just on back screen at the moment. It says you're not part of the broadcast yet. The host can see you and can hold the broadcast at any time.
So now we can't get you on. Great. Okay, I'm sharing this again with you. This is a great example in how to start your first stream. All right, so now everybody can hear me, but now we don't have you. So
Smooth sailing from here.
I add guest. Wait, I'm doing it again. And I'm sending it to you right now. Guys, this is what happens when you review The Last of Us. Just so.
Okay, hold on.
Growing up, I know, like, especially using melon. Yeah, I know. It's because I'm blonde. But it's also because Michael is ginger, so. It went from it. Are you there? You're supposed to be able. Oh, there you go. Oh my God. Thank God. We did it, everyone. Can you hear Michael now?
Hear and see, hopefully.
So you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. That was painful. But hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. Now that this is working, I'm much better. What about yourself?
I'm
Good?
trying to survive here right now. I'm kind of feeling a little bit angry, but that's cool because we've got my screwdriver. Which
That's going to help.
Yeah. So, what's going on with you lately in terms of like streaming and gaming? Everybody, this is Michael. He's been my good friend for a couple of years. We haven't done any streams together, but we are massive fans of The Last of Us. And we actually met because of The Last of Us.
Yeah, that was. I can't remember what the exact date was. That was
so we'll get into the premise of The Last of Us, but it was on September the 26th, which was infection day, or the first day, which was September 26th, where everybody got like outbreak day, basically patient zero. And we ended up not actually meeting each other, but we were on the same boat with Troy Baker, who voices Joel, and Nolan North, who did he voice? David, that's it. And we had a pretty good time, and I'll play a video clip later of us all drinking together. But yeah, so what's up with you? Because you are a gamer and you've got your own Twitch stuff that you do. So
yeah. So I mean, gaming's a very big important part of my life. I studied game development at university. Currently working in semi-similar industry as in marketing. But for me, gaming's always been about a way to escape and explore new worlds. And so for me, like part of the reason why I'm such a fan of the series is because it's a fully realized and fleshed out world. At the moment, I've been trying to play as much as possible because I've got. I assume most people do have a massive backlog of games, so I'm playing a variety of stuff. I'm playing part one on PS5 at the moment. I'm also playing things like Callisto Protocol.
Yo! Stop right there. You're a massive Xbox fan, though.
Yes, so I'm also playing. What am I playing at the moment? I'm playing Immortality, which is a FMV mystery type game as well on Game Pass. I'm an Xbox fan, but I have an Xbox, I have a PS5, I have a Switch. I like to play. I like to experience as much as possible.
Yeah, that's cool. So with The Last of Us, like, it came out in what, 2013, right?
2013, yeah.
And it came out on the PS3.
Yeah, it's PS3. Then in 2014, they released the remastered on PS4.
And then they did the remaster this year.
2022.
Yeah, I'm still back
Still
in
January. Yeah.
Like, I remember buying the PlayStation 3 just to play that game.
Yeah, no, I bought a PS3 to play that, and then I bought a PS4 to play the remastered one. It was, and then obviously, this is the third time I've bought it. It's people had a lot of trepidation about buying it again for another time, but for me, there's certain games that I can't, I have to play. So some people, it's games like Street Fighter and things like that. For me, it's The Last of Us is something that I couldn't turn down a chance to play again.
Yeah.
Especially on the PS5, and I'm playing for it at the moment. You can't go home again. It's one of those things like you remember the first time you play it, the first experience you have. But still, it's not going to stop me playing it again and again.
And I think one of the reasons is because it is such a heartfelt story with amazing acting, but all the music, the acting, the game design. It's a cult game that's always going to stay with our generation, which is why I feel so strongly about it, because it was just so different in that time where you had games coming out on Xbox 360 like LA Noire, or your Red Dead Redemption was out too at that time, even before then. Sorry, Red Dead Redemption 1. The first one was Red Dead Revolver. How dare I? Yeah.
The second Red Dead game.
Yeah, that was later. For me, it was just that plain simple story of two characters with different kinds of issues trying to survive in a world which we're all so tired and familiar with because of The Walking Dead and all the zombie apocalypse and everything. Because it was done so differently in terms of presenting those monsters from the usual kind of zombies that we've seen. And you got to experience that firsthand in terms of, combat and the way it was done, and trying to. That's one thing I have a problem with. Why are there no weapons like screwdrivers? You got bats, you got hammers, you got shotguns with but no screwdrivers in this game.
Yeah, and then the amount of scissors people go through, and you've only got the one blade to shoot. You've got to gamify it a little bit though. That's the thing. Like when you start looking too much about that side of things, it starts to break down a little bit. But you've got to make it work in terms of making it like a game. But yeah, I mean, you look back at 2013 when the game first came out, and it was around that time you start looking at games like Red Dead Redemption, and you start looking at games were starting to take more of a serious form in terms of storytelling, in terms of developing these characters. And where The Last of Us not only excelled but pushed the medium into
Right.
like where it is today, and you look back and you see games like God of War Ragnarok. I mean, you look back at what the like God of War was when like the reboot, and it was, you can definitely tell heavily influenced by a journey of characters, which is essentially like The Last of Us is. It's these two
Yeah.
people thrown into a situation neither of them want to be in, and going through these seasons and how they develop. And I think that's just a testament of how far the medium has come, and I think The Last of Us has had a huge part of that. Whether or not, surprisingly, whether or not you like the gameplay as much, the story and the characters really are what drive you to play more of it. The slower parts of the game are some of the best parts of that game.
Of the game.
Without
Yeah.
without shooting, like when you have the infected, it was more of an obstacle to get by before you even got to the next interaction between Joel and Ellie. Something that doesn't sound great as a game, but works really well. It's a very interesting thing.
Joel and Ellie are the main protagonists of the game, right? And I think they're one of the most iconic deal
Oh god, yeah.
in video game history that I mean, we played what are we? Resident Evil 6 with there's some
We,
iconic duos in that, but that's nothing compared
that was
to
fun though.
yeah, that was
Well, we-
fun. But I think Joel and Ellie have such a special relationship. For me, it's almost like for people who have not played the game, but maybe have watched shows like Game of Thrones, maybe a little bit like I don't know, the dog in Macy Williams' character Arya, sort of that, they go on a journey together, kind of stuck together, and it's not the same at all in that way, but it does have elements of where you have this really a male character who's extremely hurt by whatever's happened in his past, and then you have a young girl who's trying to survive and prove herself and is very feisty and is very kind of, what is this? This is some porn, ha ha ha, like, oh, put this away kind of mentality. And but this is unique. Like, if you want to, and this is why I think for the wider audience, this Last of Us HBO show, which is coming out in a couple of hours for us, it's going to be 2 a.m. So I don't know if you're going to stay up and watch it, but I think for the wider audience, like our moms or dads or other people who have not played the game, there's lots of gamers out there who have not done it. It will be a nice introduction to that sort of dynamic in that relationship. However, I would like to quickly, because I know we spent 30 minutes of trying to get us to actually be on, on audio. I'm gonna save this. Sorry, guys. Message. But about the show, I was extremely skeptical at first. Hey Zax, thank you for joining. Hello, thank you. Yeah, with the show, so it's been a long process. So we had the game that was released in 2013. Then we had The Last of Us 2. And this was in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And all of us were sitting at home and we were still extremely, looking forward to it. I've even got I think, video on my channel talking about how, like, don't slag it, because a lot of leaks were released, a lot of people were saying it's going to be completely different, and they did change a lot of things, and it was a completely different game from the first game, but it felt like a game that was a lot darker, and in that kind of situation that we were in when we were in the pandemic, it felt a lot more emotional because and there's a lot more that they introduced into the game, and the characters are older. And so then after 2020, and I'll come back to you really quickly about the second game, because I know that you played it twice. I could only get through it once. But we had something with Neil Druckmann, who is the narrative director of the Last of Us game, and Naughty Dog. We had something with Sam Raimi. They were trying to make a film adaptation, and then there was another film adaptation with somebody. And then suddenly in 2020, they announced that they're going to do, or was it 2021? One of those, around that time. They're going to do a TV show with HBO, with the writer who wrote Chernobyl. So the screenwriter of Chernobyl. And I personally could only get through like 2 episodes of Chernobyl, not because it was bad, but because I was born in the Soviet Union in 1986, in only a couple of months after Chernobyl happened, and it's pretty close to Ukraine and everything. But for me, for a lot of people, around that area, it's a sensitive subject. But I heard good things about it. I don't know if you watched it.
I watched a few episodes. I really liked it. I do want to go back and finish it. There was a lot of stuff kind of showing, and again, taking up my time trying to make sure I watched as much as possible. But but when they announced it was that was the person who was going to show run the Last of Us TV series. Just from what a little I'd watched, I was confident that there was something there. Obviously, still, again, I was skeptical. The history of video game adaptations haven't been great, but when you do have a showrunner that's recently worked on a critically acclaimed and series, and then have the narrative director of the game series working directly on the show as well, it gives it gives a bit more confidence to that, I think. And from I've tried to stay quite clear of the TV series a bit. I've seen a little bit here and there, but from what I've heard, the impressions have been really good. But what I want to see is that from perspectives of people that aren't familiar with the games, or is that from game fans? That's the perspective that I'm looking forward to, really. I think as a fan of a game, you especially the Last of Us games, you hold it quite close and dear to your heart in terms of the story and those characters. So making sure that they are handled correctly, because as you mentioned earlier, the Sam Raimi one, he said in an interview recently that part of the reason that it all fell apart was because they wanted to do a film, and that was supposed to be a lot more exciting and more typical zombie-like and action. That's not what The Last of Us is.
Which is not The Last of Us is. And I think that's what Zach just said in chat. He hasn't played the games, but he'll still give it a chance, because I think, again, in my head, it goes into 3 categories. One of the categories is I just love the characters. I don't care what skin color they are, where they come from. I love the characters and I want to see them on screen. Second is I want to detach myself completely from the narrative of the game. And third is I want everything to be completely like it is in the game. So that's where I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm sort of really skeptical as well, because of some of the things that we've seen in media, in adaptations, in video games.
Yeah.
However, again, it's kind of this is good. It's HBO, even though a lot of people didn't like House of the Dragons, I did like it quite a lot compared to the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. So I liked that HBO do produced some pretty good shows. The people involved with making the video game are heavily involved. One of the producers has worked on Sopranos, The Wire, 6 Feet Under. You know, you've got this writer who wrote in apparently, because I haven't seen it, Chernobyl. So you have this talent. So it's not just people who they like Amazon for Lord of the Rings of Power, plucked out of nowhere and just gave them all this responsibility. But then on the other hand, again, you have all of this in the media, in things that are so prevalent these days with shoving certain things down viewers' throats, changing certain narratives, and people are getting sick of it. It's not necessarily the, you know, you change somebody's skin color because it suits the narrative. You're doing it because you're trying to be diverse and modern. And Rings of Power was one of the last shows that proved it. House of the Dragon did it in a more narratively interesting way. I just watched something. I don't know if you've heard of the show The Rig. It's like a supernatural horror show on Amazon with all of the Game of Thrones dudes, like the alumni cast on there. It's about a Scottish oil rig off the coast, and a fog comes over it, and all these supernatural things start happening. And they introduce certain diversity aspects so subtly that they make sense. Whereas here, like something like changing certain actors to be a different race, when you have somebody like Marlene, who is the leader of the Fireflies in the video game, and she in the show is played by the same actress, and she is super cool, and I loved her in the video game. And I think she's an amazing actress. And why do you need to, you have amazing actors in there already in the video game. So why, and that's why people start questioning, why are you doing this? And so I'd be interested to hear your perspective, because we had this conversation with the second game where I think a lot of people were extremely surprised and not very happy with introducing these kind of diverse identity virtual signaling messages. And it just, like, to me, that's one of my biggest worries. I just don't want it to be another Rings of Power.
I think those the thing that we would specifically with the last part 2 was that it's, for me, it's because it's such a huge game. I think they felt that maybe there had to be a certain amount of representation and things like that. For me, anything like that, as long as it works in service of what the story is trying to tell, like anything like that should be more incidental. It shouldn't be a crux of anything. It should be natural. It should be part of the story. I mean, you have characters like, a lot of people have problems with Abby in the second game, but then you have like as you get into the game, you're introduced to Lev as well, and other characters. But I think, like, from like the TV show and things like that, I think it's from like always going to be difficult casting specific characters. Like, as you said, the actress that plays Marlene is playing her in the TV show as well, which is great. Obviously, you can't do Troy and Ashley because she's much older than Ellie's character, and
Troy Baker, just because a lot of people might not know him, but he is kind of like the rock star of video.
He's very much
voice acting. He's
a bit of a pretty boy as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, he is. He's all right. I nearly threw my house keys at him by mistake when I saw him. But so Troy Baker plays the voice act the protagonist, but he also there's a lot of characters that from the video game, from the initial video game that appear in the TV show. And I'm just gonna quickly, if I can do this. Well, I don't know if I can. I mean, this might be another lesson in how can I how do I share shit?
You should be able to share down the very bottom.
Share screen. I'm
Good
sharing.
luck.
Can you see it?
No.
Oh Jesus. I'm sharing my own screen.
Oh, there we. Oh God, it's like an infinite thing. Right. Okay. There we go.
All right. So this is the cast for. Can you see it? Right.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, for the Last of Us 2013 video game. So yeah, so Neil and Chuck. So we got stars Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson, Hannah Hayes. And so, out of all of these characters, you got Troy Baker, who plays Joel, Ashley Johnson, who's Ellie. Both of them appear in the TV show, but as I don't even know who they appear as.
I believe Ashley plays someone called Anna.
Anna, yeah.
And I think Troy. I can't remember. Sam. I think it might be someone called Sam.
Like characters that are secondary. Then you got Jeffrey Pierce, who plays Tommy, who is one of the main characters in the show. He's going to be gay. Then you got I don't know how to pronounce her name properly. Merle Dandridge plays Marlene, who is the actress who actually voiced Marlene. So she's cool. Then I don't remember who this guy is.
That's Bill. He's the one when you go to the town to get the car. He's the one that is being played by Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
He's the one who rigged the town with all the
Bill,
I thought Bill was gay.
Bill is gay.
Oh, so I'm confused.
Tommy's Joel's brother.
So no, but Tommy's played by somebody. So Jeffrey Pierce plays Bill, though.
No, Jeff.
Yeah, he does. He plays. Yeah, Jeffrey Pierce actually. Okay, let's look this up.
It's
Last of
Offerman. Oh, what's his name? The one that's.
I'm pretty sure that he's in the show because I saw him when I was Jeffrey.
Offerman.
Nick Offerman. That's right. Oh, they look kind of alike, don't they?
Yeah, Bill's a good character as well.
And Jeffrey Pierce plays Perry. Who the freaking hell was Perry?
Maybe it's. I'd imagine they want to bring back some of the original cast as separate characters. Frank is not actually. You got Frank. He's not really in the game, but I'm guessing he makes an appearance in the show.
Right. So we got Pedro Pascal as Joel Miller. Bella Ramsey is Bella Ramsey came out as gender fluid yesterday. Not that it matters, but it's quite interesting. I don't know who. So we got Melanie. She's a cool actress. Melanie.
Yeah, I like her.
Lamar Johnson wasn't Henry. Was the young son?
No, Sam was the son. Henry was the older brother.
The older brother, right? Oh, Troy Baker plays James. Who is James?
No, sorry. James is, I think, a new character. I think he might be like a scavenger or someone that is associated with David.
Well, that would be interesting to see him in that. I'm just gonna also do this. Why is it like tripling? Oh my god, this is so dumb, guys. I'm so sorry about this. So ridiculous of me. Right, I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'm gonna share this because I had it somewhere, and then I lost it. But I'll share it when I can find it. It's you and I went to an event.
Yes, it was the Retro Replay meetup
Yep.
with Troy and Nolan, which was awesome.
It was extremely awesome because they are super cool people, and they just are down to earth and don't really. Right. So this is. I'm gonna share this if I can share it. I don't know. I'm learning, guys. I'm so sorry. If I can share it, I can share it. If I can't, I can't. I apologize. Background audio, video, screen, share. I bet you Mike OBG is like laughing at me right now. Had to teach me how to do this stuff. Share system audio, share window, entire. Oh, I can actually. I know how to do it now. Share, there. Can you see it?
Not yet. Give it a sec. It took a couple of seconds last time as well. Nope.
Oh, great. Stop sharing. This is so bad of me. I'm so sorry, guys.
Does it come up as a separate thing to share in the window on the far side? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen. No. Window, Chrome tab. No, window.
Yeah, so you don't want to. Have you got the video loaded?
Yep. It was there, and it didn't want to share it. Oh well. It was a video of Troy and Nolan North, who voices Nathan Drake, that we encountered or saw on the Golden Hind.
Yeah.
Which is a ship in the center of London, not far away from London Bridge. And it was so nice of them. So Troy Baker, who voices like literally 70% of all the male characters in AAA games, and Nolan North, who's a little bit more of a family man, so he doesn't do that much, but they invited, what was it, like 130 of us?
I can't actually remember how many. I turned up late and I almost didn't get in because they locked it. But I managed to, when someone left, I managed to sneak in through the door.
The person that left was me and Alex, my best friend. And you didn't even recognize. Like, we just, like, it was a glass door, right?
Yeah,
and we were walking in, and we were walking out, and we opened the door for you. So thank you.
Well, thank you for letting me in. But yeah, that was because of the Golden Hind. I think it was more the Retro Replay was because of, I think it was Uncharted 4, because Golden Hind was the ship that Francis Drake captained. So to have it there was awesome, and to have a chance for them to chat with us, and it was like one-to-one, and like as you said, they're really down to earth. And
and they you had free drinks. It was a free event, so you didn't have to pay for anything. I remember I was the first one there because I wanted to take photos and everything on my 35mm camera. And I was just standing there, and that's how I met another friend that I met that day, Joseph, and he was the second one to arrive, and all the fangirls started going. And I remember I was taking these photos of the ship, and it's like a replica of an old, like 1700s, whatever ship. And then I kind of turn around, and I see this really tall, blonde, shaved sides person just walking towards the end of the pier. And I'm like, that's Troy. And I'm like, dude, Troy, the ship is right here. And he was like, oh yeah, thanks. Like he was
It's
about
pretty
to
hard to miss.
he was just walking towards the Thames, and that was super funny. And he's like, yeah, cool, thanks. You know, like they're so down to earth and so cool. And gave me free prosecco, gave a lot of people free beer, then went to the pub across the street and had a good night out. I wasn't there at that point, but yeah, I think that whole spirit embodies the spirit of The Last of Us, which is why it's so difficult for people who are not part of that community to maybe not be critical of what's coming out in a couple of hours. And that's like, I have, like I said, like 3 different thoughts in my brain. But at the end of the day, it's a community. You know, you actually got me a Christmas gift, which was so amazing, with like Nolan North, like wishing me happy Christmas a couple of years ago. And that's awesome because he like remembered me and stuff, because I was clicking away in their faces all the time, to the point where Troy Baker was like, you know what? It's really cool that you're using an old camera, because it's like click, click. And it's just a family of people who are, I don't know, brought together not just by the story, maybe personal experiences. There's a lot of people who love the game because they associate with Ellie. And Troy actually at that event, I don't know what's happened to that girl, and I hope she's okay. And if anybody on YouTube knows anything about her, she's called Nixon Perrette on Twitter, and she was going through a really difficult time, and I tried to reach out to her and I haven't heard anything from her. So I hope she's all right, because she was going through depression. And Troy took a good hour just taking her to the side and talking to her. And if anybody knows anything about her, if you could like message me and let me know, because I don't know anybody apart from, I tried to message Troy, but obviously he's busy and everything. So if anybody knows anything. So yeah, it's an emotional, almost like, I don't want to say a cult, but in a way it has brought a lot of people together.
Yeah, and you having met these guys, and I've spoken to them for a bit, and people like, you're right, and like both Troy and Nolan are like 90% of video games with a male protagonist was either Troy or Nolan. But in this, like with The Last of Us in particular, Troy will always be associated with Joel.
Yeah,
because you can just see how much he poured into that character, and how much, even if like the experiences that Joel as a character has gone through is not quite the same that you might have, but there's always, through their journey, there's always something to relate to in terms of good times, bad times, people dealing with trauma, people dealing with situations in life where they're thrown into these difficult situations they don't quite know how to handle, or quite know what to do with, and also how important it is to, even if you are in those situations, have people around that you might not necessarily want to help you, or be there in the first place, but people really surprise you in how much they can help. You look at Joel and Ellie, they're characters that do not want to be with each other from at the start of the game. To Joel, Ellie is cargo, and to Ellie, she's someone that's been moved from person to person after certain events happen, but through the course of having to spend time with each other and understanding humanity and understanding this is what we have left in the world, these characters become people that they essentially become a father-daughter figure. At the beginning of the game, Joel's life is almost put on pause, both emotionally for him. He has to break away from that, and also in the world is literally put on pause for 20 years until he meets this young girl, and it starts to open him up again. And that is, and all of that is all down to a testament of Troy and Ashley and all the other performers in the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the voice actors, I think, were revolutionary in that industry in terms of, and this is thanks to Neil Druckmann. I know a lot of people criticize him and don't like him. I mean, I'm a fan of him because he did give us The Last of Us in the first place. But he's one of those writers and directors who wants to get everything perfect. And I think if it was not for that, the game and the narrative would not be what it was. And I think, like Zach said in a chat, he kind of stepped away a little bit with the second game, which is why maybe it wasn't really the way that we would expect it to be. But it's interesting because in the the trailer for the show, I'm seeing a lot of Neil Druckmann influences in terms of just the way the first trailer for the game was done. And I know I can't play the whole thing, even I did in the intro, but I can't do it live. So I'm just gonna, there's one thing that, and hopefully I can share it. I mean, this is, yeah, you can laugh at me as much as you want. I know.
It's a learning process.
Yeah. So, we had 2 trailers, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2 trailers. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you
we
had
didn't,
the initial teaser, and then I think there might be 3. There might be the teaser and then 2 trailers, but
we didn't have anything for a very, very long time. And we were all guessing, and then we were like, oh, Pedro Pascal cast as Joel.
Yeah, I think the very first thing that they showed was the HBO coming soon, and it was literally the like a bridge at winter time, and it was full of snow, and it was them walking, and that was all they showed for a very, very long time. But yeah, it's they've shown a couple of trailers since then and things like that, but I think HBO specifically knew that they had something here that I'd imagine they knew they couldn't get wrong. They had to make sure that they nailed the series. So I think I'm more optimistic now than I have been about it, to be perfectly honest. But I am definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, that's it's hard to know without actually. Well, I suppose we'll find out in a couple of hours, right?
That Fat Geralt clip from the second game was hilarious. Fat Geralt? Who is Fat Geralt? Zax. I don't know who Fat. Do you know, Mike? Who Fat Geralt was? Who's Fat Geralt? Geralt isn't like Witcher Geralt. Who's Fat Geralt? But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're coming to a point in video game entertainment, film making, where it's the good will shine, the crap will go away. And I think with this, I'm hoping, like, I really want it to be good because I'm such a massive fan. And I know I've criticized certain things on social media, but that comes from a place of love because I want it to be good. I don't want it to be another Rings of Power. And I think it will not because of the talent that is involved. And so, I don't know. Are you going to stay up and watch it?
I might try. I don't know.
I want to too, but I don't know. You
I
gotta
might
wait.
have to watch it on the commute tomorrow. That might be the case. I'm not sure. I've got to be up in London tomorrow morning, so I might have it ready for the train journey.
Not watch the first episode, which is
Yeah,
Into the Darkness, or what was it? No, not Into the Darkness. What was it called? What was the first episode called? You're Lost in the Darkness. That was it. So you are going to be lost in the darkness on your commute.
The thing is, I want to make sure I should wait till I get home and watch it after work. But I also don't know if I could sit there and be like, I could watch it now. I want to watch this, and I don't want to wait till I get home. But you know, it's probably worth taking the time and making the effort to make sure I watch it the appropriate way, watch it as it is intended. But as from I think from what I've seen, like you're right about a lot of what is shown so far, what little they've shown in trailers. It does seem like it's very much what like written style of Druckmann. I think that's very important because that's what the Flesh and Bones and what made the first game so great. Obviously, there is more than just him on the writing staff of this show, and you know, the certain part 2 was also co-written as well. So, as long as it's his vision with like other people's like ideas that he's happy to, that he feels that makes sense for the show, and that they haven't like changed what made that so great in the game. I'm sure it'll be. I'm more than happy to see.
For me, this is how I'm gonna put it, and I put it to somebody today this way. Like, imagine like you are so invested into somebody and you're super in love with them and you're going to marry them, and then you marry them and then they turn out to be a completely different person and treat you like shit. Or they don't necessarily treat you like shit, but they don't really are not the person that you expected them to be. So that is what happened with me in the second game, and now what's happening now. So you made me fall in love with these characters. You made me fall in love with this world. And then you completely changed certain things about it that made me fall in love with it. And that for me is a big red flag. And at the same time, again, if I detach myself from the first game completely, which has made me fall in love with this whole franchise, then maybe I already have those little seeds planted in my head with people who I respect and love and who are YouTubers too, and they're raising red flags and saying this is a problem of a wider kind of changing narratives and changing characters and changing things. So at the end of the day, we'll find out what happens, and if it's good, it's good. But to me, already, it's kind of like a little betrayal, which I experienced in the second game, and now it's gone further with the show, what I've seen.
But for me, you know, we're slightly different opinion. You know me, I actually really loved the second game. I thought it was a fantastic game.
Yeah, because you love killing
dogs. It is
dogs.
very different. But the thing is, it is different. It's a much longer game. I actually also looked up Fat Geralt. It's one of the slavers in California in the second game. It's an unnamed guy that you'd recognize maybe if you is towards the end of the second game. I did that up, cheers, Zach. But I think if they keep the story as it is, I don't think they would interfere with it too much.
I'm sorry, how come if I looked up Fat Geralt, it came up with Fat Harold, and it gave me Prince Harry?
That's not right.
Whoops.
But yeah, like, there's some caveats, things that don't always translate from the gameplay to TV, and that's you can understand certain changes being made, but as long as the story, the characters, the emotions, and the experience you're supposed to experience remain in place. My only issue that I really have about having a TV show about The Last of Us as a gamer is that people will now experience more people will experience The Last of Us, which is great, but they won't play the game.
Yeah.
And they won't have that. You can follow these characters in a TV show, but playing the game, going through it all as these characters' relationship building over time, over the course of hours and hours. And it's you building that relationship with them. It's not just watching two people on screen. It's you are essentially Joel, but he has his own character and he's learning about Ellie. A lot of people won't have that experience with the game when you the very final scene in the game, and it cuts to black and everything, and it's just incredible. And they'll experience the TV show, but they won't experience it as intended as the game, which is something that I think people will rob themselves of. I think people should play the game first. I think if you played the game after this, also the game would not have the impact, because it is so story driven. It's so heavily based around these characters.
I think they're going to be very different. And you're right. You need to. I mean, I tried to get someone to play the game, but a lot of people just are not into that. With everything going on in the world, it's a very heavy game. It's not, it's not just going around like Mario Karting or anything.
Yeah.
So it's a heavy game,
and it's not a game that especially because a lot of it is very stealth based as well. It's not a game that would appeal to there's a gameplay mechanics in there that would put a lot of people off.
It's not like Elden Ring where you really have to be super committed to the point where your fingers are bleeding, but it is, you need to take your time and you need to learn and you need to find the resources, because you don't start out with everything. And you're not a griefer that's going around who's 14 years old in Red Dead Redemption 2 online that's just shooting everybody in the face because you cheated. But it's a one of a kind game, and I think the show, from what I've seen from the trailer, and I do recommend that people do watch the trailer and do watch the first episode and make your minds up from there. Even if you don't know anything about it, don't know anything about the game, don't know anything about the story. Each an episode was 10 to 15 million. I'm not sure how many episodes.
I think there's 10. I think there's 9. No, it might be 9. In 9 or 10, it's around about that.
So it's the average HBO kind of, and I think it's not something that studio execs were like, let's just go and do this and hire whoever. The creators were involved, so there is some form of, we're gonna keep it the way we want it to give credit to the fans and the game.
Yeah, as you said earlier, the whole Sam Raimi film idea was scrapped, and it was to be something
there was
slightly
another
different.
animated thing that they tried to do with Sony, and then they scrapped that too.
The fact that they scrapped those suggests to me that they scrapped that because people they weren't on board with that idea, and so they got Druckmann involved, and it seems like those ideas we originally had, like people were not on board with it. Let's get the creator involved and the narrative guy involved, and let's see what they say, and let's let them hopefully give them a bit more autonomy over it and get it done right. The timeline of events kind of suggests that's what's happened, so that gives me hope as to making sure that this
And we need more of
done
that,
right.
for sure. We need more of that, especially like with game adaptations. It's so difficult to. I mean, what was the Uncharted was the one that they were focusing with Tom Holland, our homie.
It's so weird to think that when the film was first announced for Uncharted, that was supposed to be Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake, and then it took so long that Mark Wahlberg went from being Drake to being Sully. That's how long that was in production for, or like there was talks about and things like that. It makes no. You know what? I saw the Uncharted film. It was a fine, like blockbuster action adventure film, but it's not Uncharted for me. It was kind of like a low rent kind of Indiana Jones knockoff blockbuster summer
Even worse than that, yeah. I mean, as much as I love Tom Holland because he is our, homeboy and everything, and so is Rob Patz.
Rob
So
Patz,
we
Tom Holland,
do, and
Stormzy.
sorry, produce a lot of superheroes, but yeah, Uncharted at that point in 2020 was the film they were focusing on. And I remember you saw it in the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, I was itching to get back in the cinema and make use of my.
I was like, dude, I'm not paying for that shit. Like, I'd rather games.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay money to see that.
Well, I have not nothing. I have an Odeon Limitless, so I was just making sure I get and see as many films as possible.
Yeah, that's cool. But I think we should wrap it up because it's gonna be quite late for us, not for our American friends who I thank for joining on a Sunday evening. What would I like to say? I would like to say, first of all, thank you for standing by with my idiotic, completely stupid Melon app. This has happened before, and hopefully I will use a different service from now on because I don't like it. And also, Michael, thank you for joining too. I've known you for a very long time to be a massive fan of the same games that I am a fan of, apart from Fortnite. Just, yeah, let's see what happens. And I got my fingers crossed. I really, really want this to be good. And House of the Dragon gives me hope. Because I was the same. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be shut. This is going to be shut. And you know what? If you think something's going to be shut and it surprises you, then you'll feel much better. So
yeah. Well, I want to thank you for having me today. It's always great to talk about The Last of Us. And you're absolutely right. HBO is I think with HBO involved with the creative team behind The Last of Us, I think I'm much more confident this will be a good series than I was when they originally announced it. I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm looking forward to catching up with you after we've seen it and like talking about it as well.
Hear about it from me for ages tomorrow. this and this. So, and you guys, anybody, thank you so much for joining. And if you guys have any opinions or anything, I am going to. I think this stream is a new stream that I did. I don't know if there's a description because I'm on the Melon app and I can't see it because Melon is it. But I'll put Michael's stuff on Twitch and YouTube and stuff in the description, and also how you can get in touch with me if you want to come on the show or talk about The Last of Us. So thank you guys. Appreciate you for being here. I would do an outro, but I'm not even gonna mess with that shit. I set it up, but I don't know how to do it. So I mean, I do know how to do it, but how do I do it? Anyway, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.